Okay, so if you're keeping an eye on the tech world, and I mean, especially if you're anywhere near software development, you already know AI is doing way more than just like catching typos these
Oh,
days.
absolutely. We're definitely past that initial wow phase with generative tools.
Right. And now we're hitting this really fundamental question. What actually happens when AI starts changing the core of what a developer does?
Yeah, it's less a change and more a complete redefinition, I think.
Hmm.
We spent some time looking at sources from the DEV community, specifically an article by AI strategist J.D. Parashar, and the main point that jumped out is pretty stark.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically leaving behind that old world where it's all about knowing syntax, mastering frameworks, doing everything by hand.
Totally. And that's our mission for this deep dive, trying to map out what's coming next for you. The core idea here, the thing driving all the source material, is the shift into what they're calling the prompt-driven development era.
Driven development, yeah.
So we want to unpack why code itself is kind of becoming this automated layer and why, your ability to structure your thoughts, how clear your prompts are, why that is the new skill separating the top builders.
That really is the heart of it. I mean, when the machine starts handling the actual execution, the real value, it shifts, right?
Yeah.
It shifts to the quality of the command you give it.
Moving away from typing speed.
Yeah, exactly. Moving away from just typing fast and towards like architectural thinking, system design.
Okay, let's jump right into maybe the most dramatic claim from the sources, because this could change how everyone works, like tomorrow. Section 1, the workflow revolution.
Right.
The argument is developers who really get good at thinking in prompts, thinking in systems, they're going to build, get this, 10 times faster than people stuck in the old ways.
10x, yeah, that's the headline grabber, isn't it? And it signals this huge lead in speed,
Mm.
mainly because you're cutting out so much manual effort and context switching.
Okay, hold on. 10x. I got to push back a bit there. That sounds a little like, marketing speak. Where does that massive speed boost actually come from? Does the average developer suddenly get 10 times smarter, or is it something more systematic?
No, it's definitely systematic. The speed comes from completely flipping the development process around. Think about the old way, right? It was always code first, incredibly manual. You'd write the code, then you'd run it, then you'd debug it, usually line by painful line, and then you'd manually optimize it. That whole loop, that could easily eat up, 80% of your time just debugging and refining.
Yeah, the grunt work. We all know that feeling.
Exactly. So the new workflow, it's intent first. Totally different. You start by really clearly defining the intention. What does this app, this feature need to do?
Okay.
Then you prompt the AI with that very specific intention. The AI then almost instantly scaffolds the basic structure, the core
Yeah,
stuff.
then the human comes back in.
Right. The developer refines that scaffold, tweaks it, adds the unique logic. And often, the AI can even handle the initial testing based on the requirements you gave it.
Okay, wait, let's pause on scaffolding there for a sec. For anyone listening who maybe isn't deep in this daily, what does the AI actually spit out in that step? What is scaffolding?
Good question. Scaffolding is essentially the AI generating all the boilerplate code. The basic file structures, the empty class definitions, maybe some routing setup, function shells, all that foundational stuff that's necessary but honestly pretty repetitive and low value for a human to type out hour after hour. The AI just builds that skeleton for you. Bam.
Ah,
Okay.
so the 10x isn't a magic. It's outsourcing maybe 90% of that initial tedious writing and basic debugging of the structure to the machine.
Precisely. You eliminate the manual setup, the basic structural work.
Yeah.
And because of that, the developer's role, it sort of shifts upstream,
Upstream, meaning
meaning you're less the person writing every single line of code and more the person directing the system, architecting it. The source really hammers this point. AI isn't getting rid of code. In fact, it's going to generate huge amounts of code automatically. But that code becomes like an output layer.
Yeah.
Your value. It's in the clarity, the precision, the architectural thinking that goes into the prompt. The prompt is the trigger.
Right. The quality of the input determines the quality of the output, which, speaking of clarity and precision, leads us perfectly into the next big area, how humans and AI actually work together now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe more importantly, how do we even measure success? How do we measure productivity in this new world? Let's talk about the new pair programming.
Yeah, this is fascinating. The classic idea, two developers huddled over a screen reviewing code line by line. That's changing fundamentally. The AI is stepping in not just as a helper tool, but as this instant strategist. It's the primary scaffolder, like we said, and it's your refactoring partner. It can spot complexities, suggest design patterns way faster than two humans can probably debate them.
Okay, so the human job becomes less about the nitty-gritty implementation and more about sort of overseeing the whole system, big picture stuff.
Exactly.
But doesn't this just create a different kind of nightmare? Like, instead of debugging code, you're now spending all your time debugging the prompt, trying to figure out why the AI misunderstood you. Is it actually a net win for teams right now, practically speaking?
That's a really crucial point. And yeah, the source material definitely tackles it. It is a different challenge for sure. Prompt engineering is its own skill. But the argument is the potential payoff is much, much higher. The goal for the, let's call them the prompt architect, is to define the problem, the system, the boundaries, so precisely that the AI gets it right, say 80–90% of the time on the first try for structural stuff.
Okay, so what's left for the human then? What are the essential contributions that, the AI can't do yet?
Well, the first one seems obvious, but it's easy to underestimate. Developers absolutely must get good at designing prompts. Prompts that don't just state the goal, but express the required logic, the coding style, the constraints, the system boundaries.
Right, you can't just say, build me a login page.
Exactly. You need to specify error handling, security rules, maybe the UI framework conventions, how it connects to the database schema, all that context.
Okay, that's designing the prompt. What's the second human rule?
The second part is, once the AI generates that draft code, the human developer has to apply human judgment, creativity, and ethical oversight. That's critical. The machine might write functional code, but it can't really evaluate the long-term maintainability for this specific team or the subtle impact a feature might have on the user experience or the ethical implications. That human layer of accountability, that holistic view, still absolutely essential.
Which leads directly to this really key insight the source highlights about talent and performance.
Yeah.
It basically says, going forward, the developer who communicates well through prompts, through system design, will dramatically outperform the developer who only codes well in the traditional sense.
Absolutely. Think about it. For decades, what was a common, if flawed, metric for productivity? Lines of code, right? LOC.
LOC.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if code execution is becoming a commodity, something generated automatically by a model, LOC is basically dead as a meaningful metric.
So what replaces it?
Prompt reasoning. That's the new differentiator. We're looking at the quality of your thinking, the clarity of your instructions, not just the raw speed of your output.
Okay, so if we're ditching typing speed and LOC, what are the actual tangible, maybe even measurable things that show developer productivity in this prompt-driven world? This is where, the rubber meets the road for managers trying to evaluate people and for developers trying to grow.
Yeah, good question. The source actually lays out 4 specific new metrics. And what's interesting is they all focus on evaluating the input, the quality of the prompt, and the thinking behind it, not just the code that comes out the other end.
All right, let's break them down. Number 1, clarity of thinking. Okay, how on earth do you measure that in a performance review? Sounds a bit abstract.
It does sound abstract, but you measure it by looking at the prompt itself, before it even gets run. Does the prompt show clear, structured thought? Is it well segmented? Does it provide the necessary context up front? A developer demonstrating clarity will produce prompts that need minimal back and forth with the AI. If you can't clearly articulate the problem in the prompt, the AI is just going to generate confusion efficiently, right? Wasting time.
Okay, I see. So clear thinking directly influences number 2, which is prompt precision. This sounds more technical. It's about executing that clear thought effectively.
Exactly. Prompt precision is about crafting instructions that are totally unambiguous, detailed enough to really unlock what the AI can do. It's the huge difference between asking for, say, a Python script for data processing versus asking for a memory-efficient Python class using pandas to process CSV files over 1 GB. Ensure it drops all non-numeric columns, and the output schema matches our BigQuery specifications, handling potential file read errors gracefully.
Okay, yeah. Big difference in the level of detail and constraint. Got it. Number 3 is system design literacy. This feels critical because AI, even powerful AI, often works best on sort of isolated tasks, right? Unless a human guides the big picture.
Absolutely. This metric assesses if the developer understands how the piece of code they're asking the AI to generate actually fits into the larger system. The databases, the APIs, the scaling needs, security, other services. The AI might write a beautiful, perfect little function in isolation, but only a human developer with strong system literacy can make sure that function doesn't accidentally create a huge performance bottleneck or a security hole when integrated into the whole application.
Makes sense. And the last one, number 4, human-AI communication quality. This sort of acknowledges that it's not just fire and forget prompts, right? It's still a back and forth.
Exactly. It's an iterative loop. This measures how effectively you manage that conversation with your AI partner. How quickly can you debug the prompt if the code isn't right? How well can you refine the constraints? How efficiently can you get the AI to grasp the real intent in the human context? Basically, developers who spend less time wrestling with the tool and more time actually building the system because they communicate clearly with the tool, they'll score higher here.
Wow. Okay, it's really clear then. The superstar developer of the near future is shifting from being like a super fast typist to being more of a technical architect and a really sophisticated communicator.
Yeah,
And this huge shift in skills naturally points towards a new kind of professional identity, doesn't it?
it really does. Which brings us perfectly to the final section of this analysis,
Yeah.
actually defining this emerging AI operator identity. The sources we looked at predict we'll see this become a formal, recognized role pretty quickly within companies.
Yeah, and the proposed titles are interesting because they capture that mix of skills. AI operator, maybe prompt architect, or even system orchestrator. Beyond the title, how does this role actually work day to day? What are they doing?
It really is a hybrid. It combines that deep engineering knowledge, understanding code and systems, with the kind of high-level foresight you'd expect from a strategist, plus the automation mindset of a modern designer. Think about it. A prompt architect isn't going to waste their time manually typing out the basic structure for a REST endpoint. No way. They're going to dictate to the system engine precisely how that endpoint needs to handle authentication, rate limiting, error codes, logging, before the AI generates the first line of output. They're designing the constraints, the blueprint.
That distinction really underlines this key idea from the source material about mindset. It kind of boils down the whole difference between just like adapting to a new tool versus truly leveraging a new kind of engine.
That's the leverage insight, exactly. You have this fundamental choice in how you engage with AI.
Yeah.
Option one, you treat AI like just a code assistant, a glorified autocomplete, maybe a fancy linter. If you do that, the sources say you'll get decent, but average incremental improvements.
Hmm.
Maybe you're 1.5 times faster.
Okay.
But the other option two, you treat AI like a system engine, like this automated foundation that you use to design complex, scalable systems and workflows. If you adopt that mindset, that's when you can potentially build like a founder. That's where the 10x potential comes from.
Right.
Because you're not just writing code anymore. You're essentially designing automated manufacturing lines for code.
Wow. Designing automated manufacturing lines for code, that's a powerful image.
And that's really the core takeaway we should leave everyone with. This whole shift is not about replacing developers. It's about elevating the role. Developers are going to stop writing the kind of code that can be easily automated. Instead, they'll spend more time designing more complex, interesting systems and architectures. The future really belongs to those who learn to think in frameworks, in constraints, in precise commands, not just keywords and syntax.
That definitely requires a big mental shift, yeah. If I had to pick out the single most surprising, maybe actionable nugget for you listening, it's that the measurable future of your success, your career value, it seems like it's going to be based much more on the quality of your structured thinking and your communication skills,
Mm.
and much less on the physical speed of your typing or those old output metrics like LOC that we used to lean on. It demands that high-level structured thinking first and foremost.
And focusing on that strategic approach, that's what's crucial for planning your career long-term now. It's no surprise that the source article naturally brings up the next big question, one that, you should probably be mulling over right now. Prompt engineering versus coding. Which one wins in 2030?
Right. You really need to think about those two different mindsets and how they'll shape your path forward. Are you focusing all your energy on mastering specific programming languages and syntax, knowing they might change rapidly?
Yeah.
Or are you prioritizing mastering that structured communication, that system orchestration skill, which, based on everything we've discussed, seems to offer more durable, long-term leverage because it's harder to automate? Which kind of operator, which kind of builder are you going to choose to become in the next few years?